Let's say I am spending every night watching TV, watching YouTube. I am checking my phone repeatedly throughout the day. Every 10 minutes I'm checking my phone. Sitting down to work the next day is going to be a lot harder. There's going to be a lot more friction. It's going to be a lot more votes, like we talked about in the Cal Newport framework. It's going to be a lot more votes going towards other things than work, because work becomes boring, and there are these pathways that have been built that say this is an option. Welcome to the Willpower Podcast. So today, I'm going to do something a little different, which is having no plan. As I'm recording this, it's Tuesday, and I need something to post tomorrow. Typically, when I do these solo episodes, I come up with some type of plan ahead of time. I come up with a few topics, something I want to talk about, some insight I had the past week or so, or something I've just been thinking about, and then I talk about it. Not today. Today, I am, just going to go off the cuff. We'll see what comes out. If there's anything positive at all, maybe there will be, maybe they won't. I'm guessing some type of theme will arise out of the nothingness, but we'll see. So, first thing, I took a week off last week, completely week off of work. That was because I was on a cruise, and that was something I did with my girlfriend. I got it as a Christmas gift, and so that was last week. And there's been a lot of interesting things that have happened coming back from that. Today's my first real day back into a normal-ish routine. But yeah, it's always nice. I always appreciate time where things are turned off. The ability to use our phone a couple of the days, I didn't get the Wi-Fi package. You can pay for Wi-Fi. It's like satellite Wi-Fi on the boat. Did not do that. And so we were only able to use our phones when we were at certain stops along the way, the 3 stops over the week. But for every other day when we were actually at sea, there was we weren't using our phones at all. And again, I love having that. I love having time to disconnect fully. I think it just changes the nature of my experience when I'm not expecting something to come or waiting for something to come or just constantly checking as if, something is coming in. It's either to my email, a text message I'm going to get. Even if I'm not expecting something explicitly, I am just always open to the possibility that something could be coming in. And it's kind of an unnatural state to be in. It feels that way, to be waiting on something at all times and always having this thing that you check that gives you a little reward, something did come in. Someone texted me, I need to respond to them, or just someone texted me. An email came in that was some good news or bad news. It's weird to have this thing that we check for good or bad news. I don't think it's supernatural the way that I do it, and I'm assuming the way many other people do it. So that's nice. Nice to put that away, and over the course of the week, it kind of just goes away as a factor. For me, it doesn't take long. It's very nice. The second I put it away, it's almost okay, now it's just gone. That thing is done. The phone is not a thing in my life anymore. It's like an off switch almost. And yeah, I quite like that. I quite like having that. I talked about this a while ago, having time to unplug. And it was something I wanted to do more once I quit my job. This was in April, I believe. I think April was when I took a 10-day camping trip. I made a whole video about it. And yeah, I at that point wanted to do more of that unplugging, taking time away. I did this a few years ago where I did a week at this random little Airbnb that didn't have a TV, and I just unplugged everything. So I like that, but I have not actually built that in. And so looking forward, I would like to build that in more regularly. One idea being a weekly check or a weekly day off of everything, or a monthly, one day out of the month, there's no screens, none of that. The hard thing about the week is whenever I have something scheduled, it's really hard to not have a phone. If I need to text someone, obviously I can't work, or at least do the typical type of work. I could do other forms of work without screens, but the work, my full-time work, I can't do. And anyways, not being able to do full-time work obviously is a factor. Like that's something to plan ahead for. Not to say that I should, like I feel the need to work every single day. I definitely take time off on weekends. But again, if I'm not working and I'm also not able to contact people, it makes things difficult in terms of planning and doing typical life activities. Like if I'm meeting a friend, that becomes infinitely harder without a phone. It's not undoable. It's like, of course we did all these things before there were phones. We were still able to do them before, but it's a little bit trickier. There's a little bit more friction. So that's one thought is, coming off of this cruise, recognizing, okay, I had a week of being disconnected from my typical things, my phone, my computer, work, email, all those things. That was nice. Maybe I should look for more of that. Additionally, with the cruise, I found myself still wanting to do certain things that are like, good, quote unquote, good behaviors. Like I was working out most days and I felt like I was getting really good workouts, really solid workouts that, wasn't typical for me leading up to the cruise. I wasn't feeling like I was getting, super quality, hard workouts in. So that was cool. That kind of came out of nowhere. I think that just came from the void of, I don't know, maybe just relaxing and having a lot of energy and feeling like, oh, I want to do something difficult. I want to push my body a little bit. Rather than on a typical day being like, oh, I got to go to the gym today. And like, that's the last component of my full day is going to the gym. There's a different energy behind that, a different feeling of intention. And yeah, on that cruise, I was more like, oh, I want to feel good after. Like I want to feel accomplished and feel the soreness in my body that tells me that I worked it hard and that it's rebuilding and all that. So that was interesting. And I really pushed myself. I was running and on the treadmill, which I typically almost never run on the treadmill, but obviously on a cruise, you can't really run anywhere else. And I was hitting numbers that were like pretty fast for what I'm typically capable of, and fast in the sense that I was genuinely pushing myself very hard. So that was also very cool. Just again, like not having like expectations, like, oh, on this cruise, I'm going to be running super, super hard and working out really hard. That was not the intention, but that just came out of me chilling out and not feeling like I had to do that much every day. I could kind of just be relaxing. And then in that space came these good workouts. So there's probably a lesson in that to take from and to, recognize that there is some power and motivation that comes from chilling out. Obviously, it goes both ways. Good to play around with both ends of that spectrum in terms of like the hyper aggressive pushing constantly, more authoritarian side, and then also the like side of anarchy where there's just no rules and you just do whatever the fuck you want and then see what happens. And I don't like, obviously both extremes are not good, but it's fun to see both stray from the center a little bit, go more towards the strict like routine, stick to it, that type of living. And then also the more up in the air, less rules, less structure type of living. There's the order and chaos, right? Balancing between those two, letting yourself lean one way, back the other way. But I think trying to find some place near the middle is probably ideal. So that was the cruise. That was me working out on the cruise. I definitely ate pretty poorly on the cruise, not unhealthily or not overly unhealthy, although I would say that they probably don't have that much healthy food in general on there. It's a lot of processed stuff. Not that it's still good. Tastes good. It seems to be relatively high quality, but it's definitely not ideal. And so I was eating a lot, feeling that probably affected my sleep somewhat. Overall, good experience, good time to check out. So those were all the major components. I would say the caffeine was also higher than normal. I was coming into it on a fast, and with fasting, I was off of caffeine for the entire week. So I hadn't had caffeine in like 10 days. And I was very excited because I had made somewhat of a deal with myself that on the cruise, I would, for the sake of enjoyment, have some caffeine and just see where that took me. And that inevitably trended upward. By the end of it, I was having more caffeine than I did starting. And that was fine. That was okay. And then yesterday, coming back from the cruise on Sunday, I decided not to have any caffeine, to cut it out for the day. And that was rough. I'd had a lot of caffeine on Sunday. And so coming back on Monday with just like nothing, that was like, I felt the withdrawal symptoms. Like I had a crazy headache. I was complaining to my girlfriend all day about that. And just, yeah, mood was garbage. Did not have any motivation. Did not want to do anything. I think that was a big component, was just ramping up with caffeine and then cutting it off. I would not have expected that in that short of a time period, though. Like it was, again, probably a week, not even a week. I had a cup of coffee on Monday through Sunday. Okay, so exactly 7 days. And then Monday I didn't, and I felt it hard. So that is a word to the wise about caffeine use, which is, it doesn't take that long to build up a dependency. It's more, I think, and this is unscientific, completely based on one experience, it appears that it is more based in the amount than the duration of time over which it's consumed. So it's good to know. And of course, I had coffee today, right back to it. But I'm going to take it more into consideration, the amount, because it's not, I don't know, there feels to be something wrong with doing a behavior that I know will hurt me if I stop it at any time, or at least I know the extent to which it will hurt me. Like if I drink a lot of caffeine and then I just cut it, I know that I'm going to feel it the next day, and that's going to be a negative experience, most likely. There could be a great experience still, but it probably won't be. So that's good to know. Caffeine. Getting back to work today, that's one thing. Good. I got to have a great talk with someone who's going to be on the podcast in a few weeks. We haven't scheduled officially, but that should be coming any episode. And I got some great encouragement and feedback from him. Just in a short conversation, we got to kind of, I got to see a little bit about how he has done some of the things that I'm looking to do business-wise and on the app side of things. And so it sounds so silly hearing someone who has done what I want to do just say, like, don't give up means a lot. I could say that to myself, and I've heard it from, 1,000 different places in the past, but having it directed at me from someone who knows the feeling and the experience of what I'm going through, and this individual was able to go through that and continue and get to a point where they hit quote unquote success, that has a different feeling and a different amount of energy behind it that feels like fuel. So that's cool. Thinking about marketing for Grooves. That's been the new thing I've been working on, because the app it's not released yet, but it's to the point where it's basically ready. There might be a few touches, but other than that, it's just getting Apple to release it. And I am trying to figure out how to best talk about it now, how to best show what it is and convince people to give it a try and to see if it works for them. And that's a whole problem in itself. And it's one that I've kind of avoided in the past. I have wanted to just hire someone to do that and me not have to think about that side of things, because for whatever reason, I want to just be thinking about building the app itself, and thinking about how to actually tell people about it feels like it's a completely different problem. And it's not like a more difficult problem. It's probably a similar difficulty to the problem of actually building the thing, but it's a different problem. And so sometimes there's resistance when switching from one type of problem to another type, because there are all the engineering problems and the product problems, the design. How do I make this thing best suited for the user? How do I do all that? And then there's the problem of how do I communicate this thing? Yeah, it's completely different again. And when I am constantly working on the former problem, it becomes much harder to switch. My brain doesn't want to switch. Even though once I do switch, it's not a problem. It's completely fine. I'm just now working on this other type of thing. But that switch, for whatever reason, feels difficult. So that's been my update on the app, has been changing over to that mode. And of course, trying to get this new version released, get that out, get that moving. And then the new focus of the app for me this time around is going to be fully getting user feedback fully like understanding how things are working on the user side of things and not just trying to make what I think is best and then kind of leaving it at that, but understanding the people using it as much as possible, understanding why they're using it, understanding what stops them from using it, why they don't continue. Because I've found that there are lots of people who sign up, I see them come in, and then they're not there anymore. They're not continuing to use the app. And I can see that because the numbers of people using the app don't line up with the number of people that have come in, and it's significantly less. So that means we're churning a whole bunch of people. And that's a problem from an app perspective. Is if people are leaving, it means the app is not working for them. Something about it is not working for them. And it's not to say that the whole app is broken. Like, of course, there probably are things about it that are great and that they would continue to use, but for whatever reason, there's something in there. And that is the reason. There's something in there that is causing them to turn away and to stop using it. So that is my goal this time, is to find those things and try to optimize the pieces of the app that are currently sending people away so that the good parts of the app, the parts that I built in and thought up along with other people's inputs and all that, are available for the user so that the user actually gets the chance to reap the benefits without being turned away before they get to that. So a focus on the individual experience of the app rather than thinking of it as this whole big thing that I want all these people to use, figuring out exactly how each individual user is using the app, starting there. Starting with this understanding that real people are using the app. I want more real people to use the app. So how can I best understand them and accommodate those real people? That's the goal. In addition to that, there was something else seems to be slipping my mind. Okay, let's talk about a different habit on the topic of habit tracking. This is definitely a trackable habit, but I want to invite anyone listening to give this a shot. This is the habit of leaving your phone in a specific place in your house at all times. Basically, the way it goes is anytime you're at home, your phone goes in this one spot. This is a habit coming from Cal Newport. That's where I heard this on his Deep Questions podcast. Cal Newport is, of course, the author of Deep Work, Slow Productivity, Digital Minimalism, a number of other books, and someone whose opinion I admire in the field of phones, mobile phone usage, internet usage, all of this stuff, email. Yeah, he has taken somewhat of a counter stance to the whole idea that more connection with the internet and with phones is better. And he's kind of taken a stand against that and created a framework by which you can kind of live and see phones differently than the way they are kind of told to us and shown to us by media and by advertising and all these things, and the way that other people use them and the way that we naturally tend to use them when we fall into patterns of using apps and all these things. So he gives a lot of tools for how to avoid falling into the traps. And this was one of them, was just put your phone in a specific place in your house and always put it there. Now, as I say this, I realize I have not done this perfectly. What I have done is I've kept my phone out of my room, and that has done wonders for me. That's a great first step, but that has slipped from putting it in a certain spot to just having the room be kind of like a no-no spot. So now that I'm saying this, I will begin to put it back in the one spot. And yeah, that it's huge, because I think a lot of us are used to being at home. You have your phone in your pocket, like you're just walking around with your phone all the time. And as Cal Newport explains in this podcast that I listened to, you could probably find it on Deep Questions. It's like probably maybe 2 months old or 3 months old. But he talks about the way that you make decisions, and your brain is basically voting on different options constantly. There's always votes going on, and decides what to do based on what gets the most votes. So if you are, playing a sport with your friends and you have your phone in your pocket, your vote is going to go towards the sport because you're super involved in it. It's fun, blah, blah, blah. But his point being, when you are bored, when there's nothing going on, there are less votes for anything else going on because there's nothing to do. And then the small amount of votes that go towards, oh, I should check my phone, are enough to win that election, that voting process. So that's saying when you take your phone out and put it somewhere else, it removes that option. There's no more, that option for voting is non-existent. And so what that means is in those boring moments, you don't default to the phone. It also clears out the neural pathway that says that your phone is even an option. And so quicker and quicker, like if you are used to having your phone with you at all times, it probably will feel a little unnatural to not have it with you. And you may still even have the impulse to check it, even though it's nowhere near you. It's not in your pocket, at the spot downstairs, wherever you put it in your house. That will feel weird at first. Again, you probably have the impulse to check it, but over time, that impulse goes away as your brain comes to understand, okay, I don't have access to this option anymore. I can't pick that one. I can't do that thing anymore. So that goes away. If you do need to use your phone, go use it at the one place, the place it sits all the time. He even says to just like have the charger there. The charger is in this one place. Every time you go home, you go plug it in. That kind of keeps it in place too. So you can't pick it up and go walk around. Your phone's in one place, plugged in all the time. That's where it is when you're at home. And for people who spend a lot of time at home, that immediately cuts out a lot of this mindless, almost like slave behavior where you're just doing something because it's a compulsion, because you feel like you have to, not for any real reason. And I know like this is overstated plenty, but these moments where you look at your phone without any reason, you think there's something you have to be doing, there's nothing. Maybe you forget what you're supposed to be doing. You end up on some app, social media, email, a game, like whatever it is, you end up doing something that completely mindless. You did not plan to do that. It just happened because the phone was there, because there were no other votes going on. So that's one thing I've been working on, and that's quite the game changer in terms of peace of mind and presence. Yeah, just on a day-to-day basis. It also makes other things easier, like those neural pathways I talked about. It seems to me that the less I am indulging in mindless, mind-numbing behavior for, quick gratification, the better I am, or the easier it is to avoid in every other scenario, every other situation in my life, every other area of life. When I am in a place where I'm constantly seeking instant gratification, it becomes a lot harder. So when I sit down to work, let's say I am spending every night watching TV, watching YouTube, I am checking my phone repeatedly throughout the day. Every 10 minutes, I'm checking my phone. Sitting down to work the next day is going to be a lot harder. There's going to be a lot more friction. It's going to be a lot more votes, like we talked about in the Cal Newport framework. It's going to be a lot more votes going towards other things than work, because work becomes boring, and there are these pathways that have been built that say, this is an option. Hey, this is an option. This is an option. There are more options. There are more chances for votes to go towards things that I do not actually want to be doing. I want to be working on something. And guess what? This work might be really fulfilling and I might greatly enjoy it, but there's probably not that much motivation to do it. And there's a key difference between motivation and enjoyment, fulfillment. Those are not equivalent. There are lots of things that we have motivation to do that when we do them are not actually enjoyable or fulfilling. Eating shitty food probably is not going to be that fulfilling. You might enjoy it, but you probably won't enjoy it as much as you think you are going to. Fill in the blank. Doing drugs, watching porn, gambling. Like there's so many things like that you're like, your brain has motivation for, but then the enjoyment and the fulfillment don't match. They don't come near the height that the motivation was. Works the exact same in the other direction. I might work on something creative or productive or whatever that looks like for you. Doing something that takes effort, takes energy, there's less motivation to do, and I end up actually feeling really fulfilled by it and feels meaningful. It's enjoyable. Those exist as well. And those are a lot harder to do when I'm getting used to the process of blindly following the motivation, the high motivation activities, the things that are not leading to fulfillment. Things like watching TV, watching YouTube, throwing on a podcast when things are quiet. Those are a lot easier to follow, and those impulses become a lot stronger when I am in the habit of doing them. And it doesn't, again, your life is not compartmentalized into different areas. It's not like, oh, in this one area, I doom scroll and watch brain rot all the time. But in this other area, when I go to work, I'm super productive and I'm super focused and I just do the task ahead of me. It's like, that's not how your brain works. Your brain is not compartmentalized. It's the same brain. It's the same you doing different things. That's how things are going to work. That's how your brain is going to be doing what it does, doing what it's used to. It's like that cliche, how you do anything is how you do everything. It's like whenever you're doing one thing, that's how your brain is learning from that. It's saying, okay, this is how we do things. It's habituating at all times. There's no time where you just get to check out and be like, okay, brain, don't remember this. Don't learn from this. Doesn't work that. So having those kind of like habits around the house lead to, I think, just a more fulfilling life, a more enjoyable life, where it's not like you're restricting yourself, because maybe at first you are, but then what ends up happening is you don't want it as badly, because like, again, the neural pathway gets rewritten. Your brain no longer has the impulse to check your phone. So there's not like this constant battle going on. You're just removing the option. It goes away. I think that's true with a lot of these things, is they go away. Your brain gets used to whatever you put in front of it. And so if you take away the things that are highly motivating and unfulfilling, your brain gets used to, okay, those things aren't options anymore. I can't do that anymore. So I'm not even going to want it or think about it. Because why would it? Your brain knows if you can't get anything, if you're not getting something, there's not really a need to want it. If you're not seeing it as well, of course. If you constantly see something and you're like restricting yourself from it, then of course, that's going to do the same thing. Or if you see, that's the same thing. If you're hanging out with friends who are doing some behavior that you're not wanting to be a part of, you might find yourself motivated to do that thing. Like if you've quit smoking, let's say you stop smoking cigarettes and then you hang out with a bunch of people who smoke cigarettes, you're probably going to smoke cigarettes again. It's pretty much going to happen. And that's just because that voting process is going on. Like every time you hang out with them, you see them smoking, and that's a reminder to your brain, oh, this is an option. This is still an option that we have because I see it and I see it there and I see that I could be doing that thing. Now, if you hang out with people who don't smoke, your brain removes that as an option. It no longer becomes an option. Like, oh, when I'm feeling anxious or when I'm feeling a little uncertain or like I need something, there's no longer the option to smoke because I don't see that thing. I'm not used to it being around me. So removing the thing from your life is an option. Removing the phone from your pocket is an option for, oh, this is what I do when I'm a little bit bored. It's not a fight that you have to fight every single time. It just goes away. And that's a pretty reassuring thing. Because I think with behavior change, a lot of us think that there's this like huge hill to get over. And then it's like a constant struggle. Like every day I have to fight this thing. It's not that way with everything. It's hard with some things when there are things that you can't really avoid without becoming like a full-on hermit and living outside of society. But for most things, it is pretty doable. And at least there are tools to stay away from. This has been a fun little impromptu podcast. Like I said, I had no plan coming into this. No idea of where this would go. And it was nice. Got to talk about the cruise and then kind of weave that into some things that I've talked about before in somewhat of a new way about these motivational things and how to really change the way that you live and change the things that you want and try to move those towards the things that actually bring us happiness. Because what more is there? What more could we want than to be happy or to be fulfilled or to have meaning? So with that, I will leave us there. I think next week we will have a guest. And then, like I mentioned, there was someone I talked with who built a awesome app, and we'll have him on in a few weeks. Bye, everybody.